Hi everybody. Gonna glue together a puppet head, which is some real exciting stuff. I thought, man, this is too much excitement just to enjoy alone. Other people could be freaking out watching this as well. So anyway, I'm getting ready. I'm drinking some coffee. Made some fresh coffee. Oh yeah, damn fine and hot. So, gluing together what's going to be a Snowth. And if you don't know what a Snowth is, it's one of those characters, one of those muppets, goes doo 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 doo, like that. So basically, I'm gonna do this to that. So, yeah. Those characters come in pairs, so that's why we're making two. I recently made a replica of this guy for a friend. Yeah. Anyway, you get the idea. That's Phenomena. The old Jim Henson creation from, I think, 1970. From what I just learned, I think it was created for a Nancy Sinatra show, which I never knew. I guess that act, or those puppets at least. And they were on the Muppet Show and stuff like that. Anyway, so what am I doing? I guess I'm just gluing and drinking coffee. I've not made any videos like this before, so forgive how boring this is. I spend a lot of time at home alone doing this. Yeah, so it's kind of nice to drag someone down with me. This is the skull pattern I came up with for the Snowth, as labeled. Used a bunch of pictures to get measurements and kind of roughed it out. If I make a replica of a character, I get as many pictures as I can and load it into a vector graphics program where I can scale it and get all the pictures about the same size and decide. Usually pick like an eyeball or a mouth plate and take a measurement from that and decide, like, okay, that eyeball is 2 inches. Okay, I'm gonna base everything on that measurement. But they're 3D objects and they are very strange to measure in photographs. So there's a lot of back and forth and comparing profile to straight on shots, for measurements, and trying to account for what distortions are in the photo. Got some weld. Well, I know everyone uses barge. I haven't moved on to barge yet. Oh, actually, before I do that, barge is just another heavier duty glue that smells a lot worse, as far as I understand. This already smells bad enough. So I'm just gonna give myself a little guide. Just mark it off to kind of show where I want it to line up. It's a nice little handy thing to do for yourself. I normally just do this flat, but I'm trying to show the camera. This is new and fun. It's like having a real person here. Wow, no it's not. Anyway. Oh, one more. These are all the sides that are going together, obviously. Okay. I think that's it. Alright. So let's start with these old darts. Oh, and this is the lip. It'll come like that. Okay. Let's see. Alright, glue time. It's my little dirty glue bowl. These are like little mouth guard containers. They just happen to be a nice little size to use as glue conveyances. I find the glue lasts longer if I get a can like that and just pour a little bit out at a time rather than smaller containers that they go bad faster. All right. Okay. Might as well start with this guy. Is this the one I just cut? Yes, I guess it is. All right. So just, and with these sides, there's a little bit of size difference between them, and I want them to meet as clean as they can. So I have to kind of squeeze them together a little bit, sort of fake it. Can I live with that? It's not the best cut, but you know what? It'll be okay. It'll be okay. I'm not doing it again. So it usually doesn't take very much of this stuff, but since this is sort of structural and it's going to get painted, I'm giving it a good amount around each side. That's probably enough, but I'm going to do it again anyway, just a little bit. All right. And let that dry a bit. While that's drying, let's start with these. I'll do these darts first off. So I made the pattern from, like I said, from pictures, kind of scaled up on the iPad. And the nice thing about scaling them on the iPad, in this particular vector program I was using, I don't know, it's called InkPad. Maybe they all do this, but when you scale it to 100%, it's and you have something sized, you know, like to scale to an inch or whatever, it shows up on the screen as the actual measurement. So you can draw and take measurements from, you know, the photograph itself, which is kind of cool. You can compare things consistently to the size on the iPad screen. That is unbelievably helpful. I go back and forth with measurements a lot because it can really look like one thing in one picture and then totally different thing in another picture. Measurements like like how wide the head is, or how far the eyes are apart, or all kinds of things can get distorted. Alright. So those are done. I'm gonna dry for a little bit. Stuff always has to dry longer than I think it does before you start sticking it together. I'm always a little impatient. Let's see. Before I talk, let's just try to do this. Let's see if it works. So I'm just going to get... I know this is going to be my outer side, so I want to make sure that's the cleanest. And so far, so good. Trying to watch every angle of the foam. I'm trying to squeeze it together where it's uneven. I think that's... okay, it's not perfect, but I think I can live with it. Look at that. It's not bad. Even though it's a little uneven on that side, that's what I'm considering the back, and that'll go up against the snout a bit. Okay, to call it a snout. What's the difference between a snout and a snoot? I don't know. Alright. And I think I did this one first, so let's try this. I'm just gonna go as even as possible. This is creating a curve. So I have to kind of squeeze it together. It's still a little wet. Might be a little too early for this. Yeah, a little early. Whatever. Yeah, see how it's just coming back apart. I went in a little too early. Probably because I put more glue on there than it needs, probably, but uh-oh. Too early here too. Well, it's okay. Front side still looks acceptable. See how much fun this is? You see why I couldn't keep this to myself? This is so exciting. There's a little extra bit of foam, if you can see it right there. That's going to bother me, so I'm going to trim that later. Actually, might be going around the edge of this to unsharpen the edge ultimately, because from the pictures of those characters, they look like that lip is sort of rounded on the edge ever so slightly. All right, let's try this again. So I don't mind it being a little wet because it gives you some leeway if you need to peel it back up and try it again. For curves like this, I kind of like flipping them out sometimes to pinch gently those edges together. You don't want to do that. But I've heard that you can use a heat gun to soften that glue and undo that sort of thing. And since I did this one from this side with the markings on that outside, I'm going to do it same on this side. It's a reverse piece, but just in case I am pushing it in a weird way, I try to flip mirror pieces over so I'm pushing it in the weird way in the same direction, if that makes any sense. Like when I cut these pieces out, I draw the pattern, I flip the pattern over when I draw the two sides, just in case I'm going to cut it out at a slightly weird angle for some weird human error reason. So at least whatever I've got can mirror itself a little better. Just making sure it's all together. Keeping an eye on the other pieces. Are we still together? I think we're good. We're still together, yes. See, sometimes if it looks like weird on one side, you can pop the piece over and that becomes the outside. It'll work either way. Sometimes it looks cleaner that way. Actually does look a little smoother that direction, but these back sides are going to pull together and kind of round out a little more. All right. So now the big part, or the big seam. If you're watching this, you've tuned in quite literally to watch glue dry. And that's on you, but that's cool, man. See, look at this. I'm using way too much. I don't need to do that. But since it's structural, I'm going for it. I don't care if I use too much. I'm just trying to get it to the edges. Old gross piece of foam as the applicator. So much scrap foam in a very tiny apartment. I try to keep only useful pieces, but these little tiny scraps are useful. That's the problem. So have to be careful not to save too many little scraps. I'm just going to go ahead and do the whole side. Because you got plenty of time for this stuff to dry, where you can still, it needs to be sort of dry and tacky for it to stick together anyway. So the more time it has to get that way on its own, the better it actually sticks. So hard to have patience. Hey. Oh, getting stuck. I'm getting a little low on glue. Let's go ahead. Glue up. Oh, so the thing I was going to say about, other thing I was going to say about patterning them. I ended up using paper to kind of make like a, what do they call it? Paper craft. Sort of like a 3D, sort of like half section of the head. If that makes any sense. Sort of just sort of drew it up against the iPad screen at scale, and then sort of formed it around my hand and crumpled the paper and taped. I think I taped like a cone together and sort of some real clumsy kind of paper mache looking monstrosity of tape and pencil scribblings, and then cut that out into a sort of a pattern piece, made a second one and taped it together to see if it worked, and lo and behold, it sort of looked pretty good. It matched the dimensions and fit my hand, and was sort of recognizable as the character, even in just rough crumpled paper form. But that was enough to get a pattern shape. I know there are less clumsy ways of doing that probably, but I was considering using foil, you know, something that holds its shape a little more and kind of sculpting the shape of the head. I just had a feeling that, you know, the shape of their heads didn't need to be overthought too much. Uh-oh, I got a scene coming up. Come on, stay together, stay together. Oh no. Well, you're seeing me make a mess. You're seeing me do all kinds of things wrong. Because I'm impatient. And I'm being impatient right now. And I'm putting on, again, way too much glue. Yeah, the foil thing would have worked, but the shape of this seemed simple enough. I was trying to imagine how it was created. I could see them like just rolling up a tube of foam and saying like, oh yeah, this could be a character, and kind of designing it around that. So didn't want to like sculpt it and pattern it and get too complicated with it. Sticking together. I still like you. I think I still like you. Alright. While those are drying, a sip of coffee. Coffee indeed. Just turning it around to see if it looks any different on that side. is that little tiny bit. I'll deal with that later with better scissors. But yeah. I guess. Should I go ahead and do them? Nah. Let those wait for a second. Just checking my glue. So it's a little pointy. I think it'll go around out. All this is going to get covered in fleece anyway, and we'll have some kind of somewhat heavy wooden eyes drilled in place, so that'll change the shape of the head a little bit. So let's see this guy. I have eyes about like that, and these big wooden doll eyes, they're slightly heavier than I'd care for, but they seem like the right thing. They're the right size, and they have that flat bottom, which is what the characters appear to have. Plus, I kind of like these days the idea of screwing the eyeballs in from the inside, so they're just secure. For a long time, I didn't know how best to do that sort of thing, attach eyes and stuff. And, I like going as heavy duty as possible. All right, so I'm gonna go from the nose, or the snoot, or the snout. Snoot, who says snoot? Just wanna make sure they're lined up on the ends. I gave myself all those little teeth marks in there or hash marks, whatever, to guide me. Make sure I'm not pulling too hard. See, I know I'm going in early, so I just have to go slow. Especially since the foam is, hey, it's creating a big curve, so we're adding some tension. So just a little tiny bit of time. Oops. That's another thing, make sure you don't crumple that gluey edge. You gotta be careful. Ugh. I've seen this technique of kind of gently pinching the foam together like that. See, I kind of crumpled a little bit there. I got to be careful. Even though it's hidden, I still want it to be as clean as possible. I'm just trying to get a nice, hey, come on now. Nice clean edge on top, at least. It's tough, man. This is tough. Okay, I think that's. So it's kind of going along now, pinching from the back and the front. Not squeezing it together, but pinching the edges of the seam towards each other. Oh, I got a little over. It's good if you can kind of pull it back up and adjust. See, I'm coming back up here. Ugh. This it's under a lot of strain, so that's all right. Sometimes you just have to go back in and fill in a spot or two with some extra glue. I'd be taking a lot more care if this were like going to be the outer skin of the puppet, but it ain't. So it's okay if it's not the most beautiful. It just needs to be even and together. Okay, it's starting to hold. See, it's pretty smooth. Just switch directions on myself. Maybe I should stay with the same direction. It's funny, most puppets at some point during their life start out looking like some sort of medieval like undertaker or executioner or like some kind of knight's helmet or something. I've never made or been interested in armor, but after seeing people make it and making some puppets and stuff, like, it seems like it wouldn't be that hard. Seems like a thing that would be fun to do that I have very, very little interest in. Okay, almost there. So now this has had time to dry, so it's gonna stay probably. Oh, this piece is much easier. Okay, just lining up my marks, those seams together. Blamity blam blam. Okay. Just checking the inside, make sure it's together. Kind of to sort of push on the seam. Sometimes it helps bring it together. Oh, come on, front. All right. Okay. Starting to look like a Snowth. One more seam. Okay, okay. Just checking. All right. More glue. I'll try not to. I've already put too much on. I was about to say, well, I'll try not to put too much on, but I've already put too much on. It's okay. I think I just glued some cat hair to it. It's all right. Most puppets are made up of a certain percentage of cat hair. most of them, I would imagine. Imagine there's a cat hanging around most places where puppets are being made. I don't know why. It just seems like I think puppet people are cat people. That's a bold theory I'm throwing out. I was trying to do this video live stream, but our connection wasn't good enough or something. Not like anyone would tune in live, but I've been shy about putting videos like this up because there's so many out there that are really well done, you know, by other people who actually want to teach you things and show you how to do things well. I'm just kind of fumbling around, having some fun. Plus, I'm a musician. I miss doing the music stuff. I mean, I still do it, but I don't know. I'm waiting for this to dry. Yeah, there's not a lot to do with music these days, except for what you can do by yourself. Yeah, weird time. And people seem to respond to these things as much or more, well, actually much more than they do to music things. So I don't know, I keep thinking I might have to just be a puppet person, if that's what it takes. I don't know how to have a real job. I don't know how to do actual things. I don't know how to play out most instruments. And make puppets. That's about it. That's about it. I'm not good for much else. That wasn't a lot of time, but I still want to know. Let's find out. We'll start from the end. Make sure it's lined up. Let's see, maybe I should go this way. Pinch. And just based on the shape, it sort of just naturally wants to go together if you push it. Let's keep going. Little pinches. There's my line. It's looking alright. Staying together, yeah. That's staying together. Everybody staying together? Yes, okay. Yeah, I watch so many YouTube channels of people doing mundane things or just, you know, talking, doing things at home, or, you know, out and about, but just kind of unself-conscious folks doing stuff, and yeah, that's. I wish I could do that. Too self-conscious. I guess I'm just in a decent mood today, so I'm feeling all right. Have a gig tonight. Got a Green Fairy gig, so that's exciting. All right, so look at that. It's all together. Not bad. And it looks like the other guy. Now, the only difference, I sort of chopped off the end of this because I noticed that my pattern, when you close the mouth, you get that sort of Y shape here. And I thought, well, it looked like it was just a little bit over, I don't know if you can see. I wanted it to be a flush, like circle that would fit. But you see there's like a little, yeah. So I just need to take off a little bit of the edges here like I did here. So for that, I need to go get a thing. Just keeping an eye on my glued parts. I think we're good though. Yep, good. Let me go get the thing. I'll be right back. So. To help, I'm using a little paint pen so I don't scuff this up, or rather get Sharpie all over it. Little circle measure thing. Excuse me. Coffee. I'm sort of gonna just outline that, just trace the excess of that basically, and kind of cut it off. Let's see. There's not a wonderful way to hold this and draw at the same time. And I'm trying to hold the mouth at as much of a circle as possible, because it's the puppet's neutral mouth position in this case is an O. So I don't want to take off any more than I need. So I'm trying to stay, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. See, sort of giving myself a line so I can, if I'm looking straight from the top down or from the bottom up, I kind of want it to be as flat as possible. That's the idea. So, let's see. Too many pins. All right. You go away. So for this, I just kind of eyeball it and just sort of saw through the side, trying to make it as flat as I can without removing any more than I have to. And let's see, it's a little nerve-wracking. Anytime you're removing material, it's a little nerve-wracking because that's a step that's hard to reverse. Sort of just sawing through this with the X-Acto. Not my favorite maneuver, but it's not bad. It's a little flatter. I can tidy the rest up with scissors. I'm just taking a tiny bit off and just trying to go at an angle to make it flat. I know I said that, but that's, I'm reminding myself that's the what I'm doing. This is scary. And I'm not, this is not a character I've built before, so I don't know if anything I'm doing is correct. I'm just eyeballing the pattern that I made and trying to make it work. And that's not, how's it look compared to the other one? It's about the same. Okay. Just gonna give it just a little flattening with the scissors. Now again, this part is going to be covered with fleece, so some of these, and this lip will go on top. See, it's a little better now. So you won't be seeing as much of that mess that I just made. That is a lovely thing about foam and fabric, is that so much can be hidden. You can really, you can get away with a lot. All right, see, that's a mess, but again, fabric, and then it's a bit of a capper, so it should look okay. And let's see if I can get rid of this little extra business here that I don't like. And I did. A tiny bit more. I've gotten pretty good at working in tiny increments, so as not to take off too much. Yeah, again, not perfect, but I'm trying not to be too perfectionist. Little tiny things like that are going to be a problem later. Sometimes I might freak out over like that size being a little different. Things are going to change as it's trimmed and gets painted and glued. So, if you ever see any of these characters, the real ones up close, they're beautifully made, but there's also a significant amount of jank to them. Some of them anyway. Some more than others. Alright, the other thing, oh yeah. This hole is a little narrow, so I'm just going to go in around, straight down, just to create a little, just like that, just hollow out that edge a little bit. So I'm just going to hold it kind of in its neutral position. Be careful, watch your hand, and just try to go a little bit from the edge, but just kind of go straight down. If you go far enough in where you can see the X-Acto poke out, that's good. Alright. See, now I got the lip, that's good. Alright. Just go back around this side. Usually it takes a couple of passes to get it out. Unless you do it really well, which I'm not that good at. It's a little tough because the foam moves with you. Okay, I fell out. The sharper your blade, the better, of course. Especially for sawing like this. Let's go back the other direction. And maybe that'll get the rest. Aha, look at that. Pretty good. Out. Careful. Yeah. Okay. Now this. Finish going to the end on this side. Okay. And I'll try to pull it away from the edge when I go. Still trying to point the knife kind of towards, like straight down, or at least not poking through the to the outside. I'd rather point it more towards the inside than anything. You don't want to take away too much material, because it's still structure. But all right, that's pretty good. I've got a little more over here than I like. Let me see if I can get that. It's okay if it's messy. It's going to be messy. Put the cap on, always. I'm just gonna kind of, those corners that have the glue, rather than try to saw through the glue, just leave that and give it a cut. It's a little cleaner that way. All right, now let's see if I get my hand in. Get my hand in. I think we got a usable Snowth head. I think that lip will end up working. This little point at the back of the head, it was just came from my pattern. I was just imagining what that hole shape would be flat, and I ended up with this, and I thought, I don't know if I like that. I can feel it kind of touching here. Maybe it'd be better to cut that off. But then again, it does kind of force your hand to be in a good position to puppeteer them, because their heads sort of need to be pointed, you know, straight or down or and it kind of keeps your hand oriented. If you're holding it above your head, it would sort of keep you from going back too far. So, I'm pretty happy with it. For a first try with a pattern, I think it worked out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. So, the next thing I have to figure out is the mouth plate for these guys, which is a little weird because it needs to be flexible enough to go into an O. So I'm wondering how much structure there needs to be for that. Not much, but there's got to be something for you to grip onto. I'm thinking it might either be some EVA foam that's flexible as the mouth plate, or maybe some plastic from a lid plastic, that kind of thin stuff. Not sure. Need to get the dimensions of it first. You can almost picture them. Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. We put together a Snowth head. That was the whole point. That was the goal. We achieved it. Thanks for watching.